Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF Everything in That Shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody. It's me, Daniel.
And it's Ban
And we're on Spoiled Rotten.
on that shelf.
We finally got it right.
Yeah,
Here we go.
back and forth, baby.
Obviously, on this show, we talk about comic book movies.
And
we spoil them. And comic book TV shows. And sometimes just whatever we want, really.
anything related to
Pop culture.
pop culture that we deem worthy to talk about.
Yeah.
And relevant to our greater society and all that kind of stuff. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing Umbrella Academy, but of course we're going to go back to our original formula, if you will,
Yeah.
to talk about some rumors, some other stuff, and not wildly speculate, but speculate out what's going on to take our take on what is going on in the new
So the big
thing of it.
one of the things is Star Wars, right?
Oh, yeah. So for everyone out there in Star Wars land, like me, there's a lot happening right now, and some of it's worth talking about, some of it's not. They're now talking about, of course, one of the movies, the anthology movies that they wanted to call them, not the saga movies.
Right, so the ones
like
that
Rogue
are like
Ones, Solo, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, for a long time, they were rumoring either a Boba Fett movie or either an Obi-Wan movie, and now it seems like they are talking about an Obi-Wan series, like a mini-series coming to the Disney Plus streaming service whenever it gets out there. Whether or not the big speculation here is whether or not Ewan McGregor is going to do television versus TV, but obviously Ewan McGregor has
versus movies. You mean?
Versus movies, yeah.
Well, he did Fargo, so he could do that.
Yeah, and I just I think he's gonna love it a lot more, the TV side of things, because I think from the actors, they're even being very vocal about the idea of we're putting all this work in to create these characters. Why shouldn't we explore them a little bit longer in the storytelling format? So I'm personally very, very excited to see what would happen with an Obi-Wan streaming service series. I think it'd be very, very fascinating, because I think hopefully if they do what I want, they can bring back the Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
doing all that kind of stuff.
I don't know if everyone's rushing to get Liam Neeson back in their stuff, but yeah.
Well, it's just because the thing is, in the Clone Wars show, Qui-Gon Jinn comes back, but as a unformed Force ghost. So it's basically this white entity and everything like that. It's like this kind of ghost flying around, but
there's no
formation.
Like Liam Neeson.
No, it wouldn't have to look like Liam Neeson whatsoever. It's just basically like this glowing thing, light that kind of hovers around, and it's just Liam Neeson's voice, or the voice actor that does Liam Neeson very, very well. Yeah. So I mean, they don't need to put Liam Neeson back in there, because of course Disney owns that character and they can do whatever they want with it. So I mean, it's just the idea of, if they did an Obi-Wan movie, I would personally love that. It'd be nice
to have Qui-Gon Jinn back.
It'd be nice to have that, but also how Yoda and Obi-Wan would communicate and their training through the Force and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really, really cool to see that kind of let's dive into the cosmic Force, right? Because the movies have always dealt with the more visual aspects.
The palatable stuff for people.
Yeah, the more visual stuff, but the more cosmic, philosophical stuff, I think this is a good opportunity to explore that, while being still very, very visual. And who knows, maybe it's a 6-episode run or something like that, but that's still 6 1-hour episodes.
What's it face? Agent Peggy. What was that show called? Agent Carter?
Agent Carter, yeah. So something like that would be really, really good, too.
And then if people really like it, they can do another season.
They can definitely do that if they wanted. Because let's be honest here. We see Obi-Wan, and it really depends on how they want to do it. Because we see Obi-Wan's arc kind of filled up through Star Wars Rebels as well, where he kills Darth Maul.
Right.
And he's old at that point when he kills Darth Maul and all that kind of stuff. So we see where he's at. It's just kind of filling in the gaps between those shows and where we last saw him in, episode 3 or something like that.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be like from episode 3, and then we kind of had those shows, and then see what happens in between those shows and
Possibly.
episode 6.
Possibly.
5.
Or it could be a ton
4.
of different things.
Finally got there. 4.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
Yeah. It could be a ton of things, but I think there's more potential to explore him and his character in a TV show. So I'm really personally happy about that. Love it.
I just hope that we get Disney Plus. That is my main concern.
Yeah, if we don't get Disney Plus,
this weird thing with DC Universe, where they're like, no, just the States. You can wait while everyone dissects it in the States. That you can just wait to see it on Netflix in every other region.
yeah, but that's the funny thing is they're going to screw themselves over. They really are from a sales standpoint because it's on the rise already. So
I know what their issue. I mean, I can assume what their issue is, but it's still like then just put it on Netflix at the same time.
Yep, it's a stupid
They
thing.
do it all the time. Like Black Lightning, we don't have the channel that. Like I don't think Canada gets CW just normally, so they
No, we
like.
don't.
So then it's just like every week you can get Black Lightning,
Yep.
and so it's like just do it that way. Then if just let everyone see it. That's my big thing. Is this is the kind of the point of the internet is that everyone has access at the same time. They're trying to break it up, and I don't.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
The thing is, for a long time, Netflix did something really, really great. They stopped pirating or slowed it down significantly. So the
Yes.
torrent sites and everything like that.
It just made it like it just made sense. Like, well, I can just make
here's
this
my $8.
monthly fee for like unlimited access to shows.
And it's just like it's unlimited access, but every one of us still only has 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah,
so it's
that's what
like
I'm
that's
saying.
the beauty behind that. But then now that we're having the Disney Plus streaming service, now the Warner Brothers streaming, like everyone's trying to do their own streaming
CBS
service.
has their own streaming service.
It's going to get to the point where what's going to end up happening is we're going to get communal password sharing between the
Well,
logins
that's
and
already
all that kind of stuff.
happening.
That's already happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's going to be people that are because I know Amazon Prime is locking down on that right now.
Yeah.
So what
Netflix
is ultimately
I
going to
think,
happen?
about to.
Yeah, they're about to lock down on that, and they just bumped up their prices and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. The thing that's ultimately going to happen is, guess what? Piracy is going to come back again.
Well, yeah,
And it's already starting to bump up again.
It will because of things like this region thing, where it's like, hey, like let's advertise everywhere that these shows are happening, and then make it so that you can't see it for a year.
Yeah.
And again, when I say everybody, it's like if you're listening to this show, you would obviously be aware of what we're talking about, and if you don't live in the States, you're still susceptible to seeing people break down Titans, or I know
Agreed.
we have Titans here on Netflix now,
Yep.
but like Titans, Doom Patrol,
Yep.
all that stuff that we don't get to see as it's happening. You kind of like you'll want to be a part of that. You'll want to
Yep.
be a part of that conversation online, and you're going to search it out. Like I even see, I don't remember which, but like on Twitter, it's like you get these big pushes for Doom Patrol, and I'm just like, how isn't every instance of that the first comment?
Yeah.
I can't see that in my country.
Yeah, and how is it just
and then you see it. You go if you scroll along, you can see someone be like, "Well, I can't see that," and then someone be like, "Well, why don't you torrent it?" And it's
or
like,
VPN or something like
yeah.
that.
So it's like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because guess what? Like, let's take Game of Thrones for example.
Yeah.
Did you guys and Australia? Because they get everything the last when it comes to like broadcasting and all that kind of stuff. Because they also have the slowest internet connection and all that kind of stuff in the world for the first developed world and all that kind of stuff. Do you honestly think that Australians are not going to watch Game of Thrones in one way, shape, or form
As it's happening.
Like it's gonna be huge this season. It's gonna be watched. They're gonna watch it probably on a 1 or 2 hour delay. But guess what? Someone's putting it up there right away, and it's going to get harder and harder. Like it's a stupid thing. Just make everyone watch it. Let everyone watch it at once. Just remove those things. But of course, I don't know the legalities of it. I'm sure they're very, very complicated and all that kind of stuff. Multi-year
I remember when I
contracts,
first saw
whatever.
that, it would be like the big thing would be Lonely Island, like Andy Samberg's group.
Yeah.
They would try and put stuff out, and people were like, why would you like make it so that I can't watch this in my country? And they were the first people. I'm sure they're not the first people, but the first people that I followed that put it into words. that I'm an idiot, but like they were just like you realize that's your country blocking it, not us.
Yeah.
We don't have control over that. That's your country being like, we want to be able to monetize this some way at a later date.
Yep.
And so that's you can't really. That's why I was like, I get it with DC Universe. What might be stopping them from bringing it here? But it's like that's when the torrenting happens.
You force
make
people
a big
into doing
deal.
that.
You make it like it's like, hey, and what we're about to talk about with Netflix, you make a big deal about removing stuff from other places and making this exclusive thing that not everybody has access to legally.
Yep. And of course, I mean, one of the and what you're alluding to here is basically the whole debacle between Netflix and the Marvel shows that we're looking at right now. So Punisher and Jessica Jones got canned. And we knew this was going to happen because that's just what's going to happen. The surprise move is that Jessica Jones got canned before season 3 premiered. And I really like the reason for why they did that. Like, we did that because, you know, these people, they need to be free from their contracts in order to shoot other things.
I still wish they knew that it was canceled. Like, I haven't heard from the Jessica Jones runners, but every runner so far has been like, I didn't know we were going to get canceled until after. So it would be nice to just be like, hey, yeah, this is your last go at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Obviously, they know they're going to cancel these things. So I know that there's some politics that happen. So maybe when these runners say that, they're trying to like save face. But like, Iron Fist definitely didn't know they were going to get. Or if they did, I guess that speaks to how poorly they planned. And Luke Cage definitely.
Cage didn't.
That definitely seemed like no. We've got more story to tell.
Yeah, for sure. They did not know. It came from out of nowhere. Daredevil came out of nowhere.
As I said, Daredevil season 3. That was season.
It's
3,
a good
right?
finish.
Yeah, I was like, I would be fine if that was the end.
Yeah, if they capped it at that, I'm like, good. But we also have like Hulu opening their doors to the Marvel and Netflix thing. But it's not likely going to happen. And
they can't do anything with it for 2 years.
Yes, so legally they cannot do anything with those characters for 2 years. I don't know if there's a difference between the animated world versus whatever world.
There is. It's these characters as portrayed by Kristen Ritter, Charlie Cox, Michael Coulter, and Finn Jones, and John Bernthal now.
Yeah.
That world can't be touched for.
I agree,
because I'm sure they can animate anybody they want.
Mike Coulter is already doing a different pilot for a different TV show. And
that happens all the time.
It happens all the time. So if that gets picked up, of course he's like, why am I going to come back to that?
I mean, I would imagine those people like were proud of what they were doing.
I agree with you. I agree, but just whether or not they're like, oh, I'm dying to jump back into it is
and again,
very different story, right?
There's always like headlines about how they wish they could go back, but who knows how they really feel about that.
Yeah. So more light has been shined on this issue with the Netflix, and of course, this again had nothing to do with. It was 100%. The decision was on Netflix now, and the reason why is because the licensing fees were astronomically high, and the profit margin was so small for Netflix that from a business standpoint, it did not make sense to carry forward.
I mean, I would also say yes, there's all of that, but they also are fine to spend how much ever money to keep Friends on Netflix. So it's more
for now. I mean,
I think that will always be a thing.
You think they're always going to have Friends?
Because it doesn't make sense as we talk about all these different streaming services coming out. You can't be like, let's get rid of a thing we know people like watching.
It's true.
You need a reason for people to stay. So they've got stuff like Umbrella Academy, which we're going to talk about, which I think is a reason to stay with Netflix.
Yes.
But that's what I think is more the reason of getting rid of the Marvel stuff. You don't make money on it, and now you've got all these licensed to other hero properties.
Yeah.
And for me, if they're going to keep going with stuff like Umbrella Academy, I think it's hero properties that work better.
I agree.
Because it's what I was talking about, that show, whatever. Well, the shows that they had, the direction it seemed like we were going in is let's get as far away as possible from the comic book stuff.
Yeah.
And that for me feels like, well, I don't know why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because you've got these. At this point, you've built them up, right? Like, if you didn't know Jessica Jones before, you know her now. And that second season, I understand why people like it, but to me felt like, oh, you really don't want to like lean in
the comic
book
things
stuff.
at all.
This is a very serious meditation on like PTSD and addiction, which seems like you feel like the comic book stuff is getting in the way of you telling that story.
Right.
That's how the second season felt to me. Luke Cage, I just like those characters, but again, that felt like he's becoming like this mafia type person, doesn't really speak to his powers or anything like that. It's whatever. And Daredevil, as I said, the suit stuff is a weird choice.
I agree.
And while they did have comic book moments, it really didn't. Yes, he's a blind man who can fight, but that it's the way it's delivered that doesn't feel like they fully embrace it. They're like,
I agree.
It feels like they're ashamed of it, and that they're like, well, we have to put this stuff in here,
Yeah.
but let's figure out a way to do this different.
Yeah, because it almost, and this discussion always comes back to the Christopher Nolan trilogy of Batman, in the sense where when you have
He wanted to ground it so much.
he wanted to ground it so much as like, this is what Batman would look like in real life. And of course, that was a very clever thing to do, a very clever pitch to have, based on the fact that if you consider the last two Batman properties that we had before the Nolan series came out, it was almost ridiculous. Like Clooney and Chris O'Donnell as Alicia Silverstone and like Schumacher, like, not to knock on what they did, but I mean, that was just ridiculous of a movie. It was just over the top and too much. Like, I cannot watch that because it's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so to do, I wouldn't say Nolan's is an overcorrection, but it washes that flavor out. There was no point in doing that with the Netflix shows because they were grounded in reality, but they could have had comic book elements. They were
Well, they're also part of the MCU, and they don't feel
exactly. They're so disconnected that it's just like, what the hell? This is dumb.
And I think that's another reason they're gone. It's like, well, why would we keep like? Obviously, they like what they're doing, and people really respond to those shows. Like even Iron Fist, all of those shows have fans, the people that like it. Maybe not people who showed up. Like as I said, season 3 Daredevil didn't really perform the way the other seasons did, and Punisher never performed. Or second season of Punisher wasn't even beating out the Daredevil season 3 numbers.
Yes.
So people weren't showing up for it. It didn't feel like an event anymore, but still people liked it. And like you can hear people being like, "Oh yeah, I didn't get to it yet." Whereas like when we were first doing these, like Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, those were things where it was like, okay, like by Monday you know that like everyone has seen this already if it comes out on a Friday.
But I feel like one of the most interesting things about the Netflix style of these TV shows, and I thought about this a lot, is that the way we consume the media now all at once, it doesn't give a showrunner a chance to have a mid-season break to be like, let's recalibrate and everything like that. Let's get the feedback, because it's very valuable. We talk about it, we give feedback about it right away. So it's either the whole series, or the whole season, I should say, is either a home run or it's a complete dud, the way we consume it. And that's so hard for a showrunner to be able to do. It's just like, this is what we're thinking about, and just like to predict how everyone's going to react and what we're going to do with it. I feel so bad for it. So it's almost like I'm advocating for a partial break, but that's not going to, from a financial standpoint too, I'm pretty sure they save more money shooting the whole season at once.
Well, I mean, it's also like cast availability and stuff.
That's true.
It's like if you think about something like Game of Thrones, that they just do that all at once.
That's true. Yeah, and that's already hooked us, and that's a home run for them, right?
Yeah, things like The Wire, like it's been happening for a while. Like when you get to the HBO shows and Showtime shows, the only difference is like if you do something like, okay, first half of the last season of Breaking Bad, take a break, go into the second half, or Sopranos taking. I don't even know if they ever broke up a season. I know they take big periods in between, but like there's a precedent for shows like that where it's not like a 23 episode order, taking a break and like recalibrating, but specifically with, I think it's over now, but like watching a Netflix show all at once doesn't seem to be the thing anymore.
It's because it's the marathoning thing. I think the binging thing is,
or at least like if people do it, it's not like it's not a communal thing anymore. It's not like everyone is binging. There's going to be people who binge. There's going to be people like the show we're about to talk about, where I was like, I can do this over a couple or 3 days or something like that.
Right. And me personally, I don't like to binge anymore. The reason why is because it just feels like I'm forgetting so many of the finer details that just it kind of blurs together. I like to do 2-3 episodes max per session, and then just reflect, pause, and then link up with it later.
And I've always thought that was a thing, other than what we talked about, where if you wanted to like be a part of the conversation for things like the first seasons of those Netflix shows, where it was like, oh no, like I don't know what I don't know if I'm gonna get spoiled if I don't watch everything before Monday.
You're right. There's a fear behind that too.
But now that's not a problem, because I'm like, you could also just, people do it all the time, just not listen to that stuff and not engage and watch it at your own pace.
Yeah,
nothing's actually forcing you. There's just the spoilers. And I've complained about this too, like just how early reviews come out, like especially with the Netflix stuff, where it's like, oh, I reviewed this first 6 episodes, and you're like, great. You don't know where it's going, so a lot of your predictions won't like. But anyway,
it's a bit of a trick, because when I shot my show, we had to do the whole thing at once, and we just like, here it is, here's the whole thing, and we're like, I had to think about that when doing this. I'm like, okay, either this is a home run or it's a complete dud, and luckily people are responding well to it. And I don't know, when I'm writing season 2 now and developing another series and all that kind of stuff, and I'm developing 3 series right now, just because that's where my creative energy is going right now. It's a hard, overwhelming thing to do, and I'm not even an experienced showrunner. I'm just like, I'm writing and just hoping someone's like, yeah, I'm jiving off that, let's do it, kind of deal. It's a tough thing to do. So give us a break, man. With that being said, though, I think we can definitely talk about the Umbrella Academy now. Let's talk about it.
It's time to do it.
So we're going to preface this by saying Daniel and I did something very, very interesting, and that's because of the lack of time on my end and me dropping the ball for the scheduling. We just finished the last 2 episodes. Well, Daniel finished it last night, and he rewatched the last 2 episodes because he's a pal. And we just got to hang out and watch, do that kind of stuff. So it's like fresh in my mind. I usually like to take a 24-hour period to reflect, be like, hey, what do I think? So a lot of this is going to be raw on my end, but of course Dan's always has the more well thought out, more articulated thoughts. So let's start off with what you thought.
I love the show. It's a great show. I think this is, and what I like about it is, like, I know we didn't stray too far, but one of the things I told you is like, it'll be good to not do like another DC Marvel thing, like something new, but obviously it's Dark Horse, which isn't that, like, it's not like we went real indie on it. It's like Dark Horse is still very well known, but
I mean, to be fair, they're just a publisher. But like, I mean, the creative people behind it, they're not using the same characters.
The people, one of the people who did this is the guy from My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
Gerard Way.
I was like, when you texted me that, I was like, what? Because I don't listen to their music.
At one point, I was like, it's a shame that they don't use My Chemical Romance music. And then I was like, I only know the one song, so they might be. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. But I like that. It's a bit of everything in the show. There's funny moments. There's I thought very sad moments. There's some good violence. There's some cool, like, supernatural, obviously.
Yep.
Did you, like, one of the things I did for the first 2 episodes is I constantly referenced the Wikipedia page to know, like, what their names were in the comics.
Oh, I did not.
Because some of the names don't match up for me. Like, I'm
really?
just like, I guess you could call him that. I mean, the big one being Ellen Page's character is the white violin.
Yep.
Which, by the end of it, you see why she's called that.
Okay.
But
I didn't.
Yeah, so
I
the
didn't
characters are Space Boy, the Kraken, the Rumor, the Seance, the Boy, the Horror, and White Violin.
Oh, cool.
So I'm assuming Ben is the Horror. Because, like, I would have thought he would be the Kraken. Because he's got
the Kraken, wouldn't he?
No, because Diego is the Kraken. This is what I had to keep looking up. This, I guess, I just
That's
care
so
about.
Weird. Why?
I just care about the Kraken. I'm like, that one seems the most off.
That one's like, oh my god. So I love Ben, and like, I'm just like, what? He's dead, and I definitely missed the part where it's like, how did he die? I'm pretty sure it's during a mission.
No, and in the comics they don't tell you.
Oh well,
he's just dead, and they don't. He's not even in it
that's
as much as he is in the show in the comics. So I like what they did for the show, that they made him a character.
Oh, I like that too, because I didn't read the comics at all.
In the comics, and I haven't read them, I've just heard that he's just like dead, and they've got the statue that they knock over in the first 2 episodes. I don't remember. Right. To me now it's a blur, but in the first episode when Diego and Luther fight, they knock over Ben's statue.
Yep.
But like, yeah, they do not get into it at all. You just know Ben died. You know that he was. It's a horror. But they don't get into it, and you don't see him.
That's so weird. I would have assumed the horror would have been Klaus.
Yeah, he's the Seance. That makes sense to me.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
The rumor, which when she first used her powers in that flashback, I was like, this show is amazing. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Yeah.
I am on board with a kid being able to go, hey, I heard a rumor you shot your friend in the foot.
Yeah.
And then he does it. I'm like, this show, I'm on board 100%. They will never be able to disappoint me after that.
You know what caught me? Like the first thing that caught me, that was like, hold up, this show is awesome already, was, and this is the funniest thing, when Ellen Page's character, Vanya Hargraves, number 7, the opening song that she plays on violin, the Phantom of the Opera thing, I was like, this is awesome. This is so cool, because like I do love Phantom. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for a musical and Broadway and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, yes, let's do this. This is gonna be awesome. So that just pulled me in right away.
Oh,
and then like you know my thing about like things shot in Toronto with Toronto Live. It just pulls me out. I was just like, that's Massey
I
Hall.
love it. I'm always like,
I know.
Hey, I used to work there, or I used to live there. I'm into it. The donut shop, I'm like, I remember never wanting to eat there. I would always be like, hey, like, let me try it out. It's like right at like Queen and Dufferin, basically. And I would always be like, it's right here. Let me try it out. And I went in 3 times and always went, nope, not into it. And then to see it in the show and be like, those donuts look good. I wish they had those donuts when I was there.
Yeah, no, it's a weird thing for me. It's one of those things, because I like to immerse myself in the show, and then seeing like, hey, that's Massey Hall. That's St. Mike's. I used to, and like, just like, it just pulls me out of it, and I'm like, oh, now I got to refocus, and that's just me. That's a weird thing for me.
It happens to a lot of people. But
totally.
For me, I'm like, nope, I'm into it. Space Boy to me doesn't make sense as a character name, only because he gets sent to space after the fact.
Yeah,
like we meet him when he's on the moon, but it's like, nothing about his power seems like it has anything to do with space.
Nothing has.
I mean, the Kraken again. I don't have any idea how you get that name.
Yep. No clue.
But the rumor, the seance, I'm glad they just said number 5, because the boy is not that interesting either.
So I'm assuming like later
Whiteville.
iterations they adopt these.
No,
personas.
it's a limited series. It's like a one and done type thing.
Oh, okay. So did they capture like the full? Like, did this season fully capture
that? I
happened?
Don't know.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Now that I'm very interested, because I love comic books, but the thing that irks me about comic books is
they never end.
They never end, man. I want to know that there's a conclusion to it, and I don't want to be like, oh man, it's just feeding some sort of addiction for me.
That's why I like reading like just collected like graphic novels.
I agree.
And I don't really do issue by issue stuff. I'm just like, and then now like when you're on Comixology and you're like, okay, I'll follow this, and you're like, it really isn't going to end, is it? Yeah. It's just gonna. But that's kind of what people like about these things, and that's why I understand that people might not like the MCU format, because the MCU format is trying to bring comic books to the movies. It's a different approach. It's
totally different.
Whenever I hear people be like, "Oh, it's dumb because of this," I'm like, "Okay, yeah." But I guess you just don't like comics.
It's a comic book movie.
Yeah,
it's
a comic book movie.
But in each movie, it offers a satisfying conclusion.
Yes.
And it leaves it's like it shuts a door but leaves a window open.
Yes.
That's why I really like about the movie aspect of it, versus the comic book thing is like, oh, but wait, there's more, and there's more, and there's more. Come back next week. And I'm like, damn it, man, I can't do that anymore.
All right. Let's get back to Umbrella Academy, but let's break down the 7 characters.
Yeah.
At least the 7 members of Umbrella Academy.
Yep.
So Space Boy first.
Yep.
Luther.
Number 1, Luther.
So am I to understand that when he came back from that failed mission, they gave him Pogo's blood, and that's why he looks the way he does?
I think maybe,
because I know that doesn't how it works. That's not how it works in the comics. From what I understand, the dad just put his head onto a space gorilla's body, making it Boy.
That's what it seemed like.
But I don't think that happened here, because he still has his hands and
Yep.
like he doesn't have a gorilla's body other than the torso.
Yep. His legs
area
are
look. Yeah, he's normal other than that element. So
Yeah, you get a lot of skip leg day jokes and all that kind of stuff.
and then at the end of the show when they need to give blood to Allison,
yeah, they're
he's
like,
like, yeah, it's
"Your
not gonna
blood's
work."
more closer to mine.
So I can't tell if that was more like that is Pogo's blood, or if he's just because I feel like the point of saying that would to be like, hey, that's my blood, because Luther obviously knows he looks like an ape. He wouldn't be like, wait, what?
It's like, wait,
What do you mean?
do
Like,
this?
I look like an ape? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But I know that I kind of like that they don't really get into it. You can just make your own.
Yeah,
inference.
because I mean, like, if we're really gonna get into it, it's like, did they blood test blood type match? It's like, is Diego a type O donor? Like, it's like, you could go into all. It's a comic book, man. Just forget about that.
So
but I
anyway-
mean, they offer a satisfying explanation of why you can't do that, because obviously he would have the most blood to give, given his massive upper body.
So I guess he's just really strong. That's his thing, right?
I believe that's the case, and I'm just like, what a shitty superpower, and why is that person the leader? Aside from, it's got to be mental resolve.
I would imagine it's just he's the first kid that he picked up.
I guess.
That's my assumption, is that they're named for the order he got them in. I know they're all the same age,
right?
Born on the same day, but just in terms of his travel, who he got first,
right?
And as you can see, like, Diego isn't really on board with him being the leader.
No,
it's not like everyone agrees upon it.
He's
it's
the
more
Raphael of it all.
Yeah. It's more just like he's like, well, he's obviously the one who likes the dad the most.
Yep.
Or at least feels that he should like the dad.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got his own complicated, or no, because he's even thought like, oh no, he sent me to the moon for a reason, and then he finds out that might not be true, and that really fucks him up. So
yeah,
I think he does legitimately like the dad.
I think he's one of those people that finds comfort in knowing that there's something greater out there, and like dogmatically attaches them to it. And when they realize that nope, nothing there, it just shatters.
Well, yeah,
his
I
world.
guess he wanted to trust the process.
Yeah,
he needs to believe that the dad was doing everything for a reason.
Yeah. To me, his character was not interesting until it was revealed that everything was shattered and that he has to put all the pieces back together and still be himself. Like, that was what was really cool to me.
I will say this: I liked all the characters.
Oh yeah,
there was, other than characters you're not supposed to like the one-eyed guy, which we'll get to later. Like, I was just like, nah, fuck this guy. I'm fine. I legitimately, like, for all the main characters, like people who have more than like 10 lines of dialogue, I was like, I want all of these people to win somehow. I know that's not gonna happen, but like, I'm on board with everybody. Yeah. But yeah, the Luther thing is just, I guess that's all we really say. I mean, I like when he breaks and goes to a rave and does drugs and stuff.
Yeah, and has sex for the first time.
And like goes out without his shirt, like he's really letting loose or whatever. That was nice to see, the little catharsis for him.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And I like the way the show wrote it, that I was like, oh, he's cheating on his sister. And I wasn't like, that's weird. I was just like, oh no, he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But again, as I was reading up on the show, like, they've never had sex. He is a virgin, and that's the thing, is that even though he loves his sister Allison, they've never had sex. It looks like they've kissed, though.
They have definitely
last
done
episode.
a face kiss.
Yeah,
for sure.
That last episode makes it seem like they definitely were sneaking kisses here and there.
Yep. The thing is, I will say, at the end of the series, loved all the characters. At the beginning of the series, it was a hard hurdle to.
Well, we'll get to some of them. Well, next is
Diego.
the Kraken. I don't get his name, but I like his character.
I love Diego.
I like that he was like, no, I'm still gonna do the superhero thing. Like, I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna like he made a thing of it. There was a showmanship to it. Yeah. I loved his relationship with Mom, like the Grace robot.
Yep.
The idea that like she helped him with his stutter, so like that, like he actually like honed in on that.
Yep.
Apparently in the comics he's got a thing for number 7. That didn't really show up here. I kept waiting for like, even if it wasn't said out loud, like for him to have a glance or for him to have a moment to sacrifice for her, but I don't think they wanted to play that here.
Interesting.
But
I
that is an
think they
interesting
really wanted
wrinkle.
to play a very. I thought like it would make more sense for him to be fighting for Allison.
Yeah,
like,
but
know,
I
like,
guess you
if they're
don't really
fighting for
want all of
everything-
them to be incestual.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
like,
But I mean, like, it's one of those things.
I guess they figured we got one shot at the brother-sister relationship.
Yeah.
Let's stick to the like more like this
Sure.
that one.
Yeah.
I'm fine with them not going down the route of him having a crush on number 7.
Yeah.
And
I
because
like
he had the
this
detective
police backstory thing.
patch.
Yeah. I really like the fact that basically they were mirror characters, the number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, they both could be leaders.
Well, they believed in what they were doing. They just did it very different ways.
Yeah.
So
like his
two, yeah.
anger for the dad
Yep.
probably pushes him, whereas Luther's
love for the
at
dad,
least
or-
trust in the dad
Yes.
keeps him going. So because they both are still like, no, like we have to do the right thing.
yes.
It's just
It's the direction that they take is very different, and I really
Diego's
respect that.
anger leads to a little more like outwardly violent
Yeah,
ways
yeah.
of doing it.
I also like how self-controlled that character is or becomes at the very, very
Oh, yeah.
end, in the sense where even in the bowling alley scene, he's like, "Listen, man, you're the leader. Give
Yes.
us a. You gotta.
He
give us a
wasn't
plan."
yeah, he wasn't like
fighting
petulant or
anymore.
anything. He's just like, no, okay, I get it. You want to be the leader, but like, what's the plan
Like,
here?
give us something to do, kind of deal. And he's like, you know what? You're right. Good feedback. And like by the end of it, it's like, yes, they really did become a family again, and they got over a lot of. And it was just, it's lovely to see.
I bought that they loved each other.
Yeah.
That was another thing I
Yeah.
thought they did a good job of. Is like every character in their own way had a moment to be like, no, like I legitimately love this family.
Yeah, and it's just whether or not it's genuine love or whatever. The idea of
Well, I
them
mean, you
like
go
we went
through
through the
something like
same
that, yeah.
shit together. We're bonded. There's literally no one else in this world that will understand what we went through. We're bonded together at some point, and then when we separate, look at what happens. I mean, it really just works out well for Allison.
Should we talk about her next?
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
the rumor.
She's the rumor.
I was talking to my sister about this before we started recording, where I was just like, I get that was a shitty thing she did to her daughter, but I was also like, I don't know, man. No, I don't like that she did it. I'm just like, I like that power, and I'm just like, I like that she feels bad about it. I like that like she's almost like punishing herself for doing that, and that like her big thing is like trying to hold on to like making her daughter understand, and obviously in all of their different ways of like abusing themselves based on how the dad treated them. So she obviously doesn't want to feel like her dad, that like she took advantage of the kid, and so like that all plays into it, and I really liked that.
Yeah, her power was not visually fun to watch. I mean, except for the first bank robbing episode, it was like, ooh, that's fun.
But it's like that. What's his name? Kilgrave, the Purple Man thing, where like she just has to watch what she says. I mean, obviously, I guess the setup is she has to say, "I heard a rumor," but the restraint it takes to not use that.
Yep.
Obviously, she uses on her kid, but that's in the past, I'm assuming. And so when we're watching her, that most of the time you're watching her, it's her not using that because she knows that's a shitty thing to do to people.
To me, were you a little disappointed as to when they actually showed you what the actual event of when she uses her power on her kid? Because I was just like, you didn't really, you just kind of made her go to sleep, which is the whole
but then you hear
point.
In the montage every other time she used it, so that the whole point was that you think she only did it once, and that's how the show is setting it up.
See,
and the husband thinks she only did it once.
I think I looked away from the.
Yeah,
thing
the
while
point
happened,
is there was a montage where you hear every single time she
She's done
told
it to
her
her
kid,
kid, yeah.
like, "Hey, I heard a rumor you made like the lead in the play. I heard a rumor," like, and just like taking away all of her kid's agency.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's much worse if it's repeated. I thought it was just the literal one time.
Well, no, I think she tries to tell herself it wasn't that many times, and then the show shows you like accumulatively what she's done to her kid, basically.
Kind of like really connecting with the Klaus kind of thing, and it's like, it's just, I know that like the addiction kind of thing of I'm addicted to using this, and like I even like what Klaus says.
The idea, we'll get to Klaus, but
Yeah.
like the idea that obviously every parent wished they could do that. Like,
Oh, God, yeah.
and it doesn't come. It's a shitty thing to do, but it's not coming from
A bad
like
place.
she's not trying to screw over her kid. But
Yeah.
that again, that's what I like how it ties into the dad thing, where she could probably justify, well, I'm not doing this to torture my kid. I'm doing this because my kid needs to go to sleep, or my kid needs the confidence to go do this. And then you realize you're still fucking with your kid.
Yeah, yeah, you're
And
still
you are still in the same position as
heavy-handedly influencing
your
everything.
dad.
Yep.
So yeah, I like the layers that gives her character, in that she would, even when she could have. Wait, does she almost? She does try and use it on Vanya. Actually,
Oh, yeah,
on
she
number
does.
7. But she tries not to do it for so long, and then and then you can see, like, I'm not going to do what I did to my daughter, to my sister, and like this was her second chance at like having. But I guess she used it at the beginning as a kid, but then as an adult,
Yes.
she tried to do it again, and that's when she gets her throat slit.
Yeah, and that's really, really interesting to me in the sense where it's like, and I think,
and I feel like that might inform why she was cold to Vanya, because
Yes.
she's like, I don't want to be around you. Like, I know what I just did to you. Like,
yeah.
And so everything to do with the Vanya turn is interesting to me, because it's
Backstory
like,
is awesome.
yeah, it's like the guys were oblivious, but
Oh yeah, but
like,
she was
he
like, I've been
made-
carrying this around, and I didn't even understand. And,
but like he made Allison an accomplice by being like, no, tell her the rumor. Tell her it's like, I heard a rumor you're nothing special
Yeah.
or whatever. Or I heard a rumor you think you're nothing.
right.
Which is, at that point, that's not her fault, but you can see throughout life how she's used it a bunch of times.
Yeah. Number 4 is Klaus, right? Is that correct?
That is correct. So
Yep.
yeah, you didn't like Klaus at first.
I didn't like Klaus at first. I
always liked him. I was always on board.
really, right from the start.
Yeah, because that's a fucked up thing that you can hear the dead people and you can see dead people.
Well,
you would want to like,
yeah.
you would want to like medicate for the self-medicate.
It wasn't that.
I get it. You didn't like how outlandish he was. But
Yes. To me, in the beginning, it wasn't justified. If I rewatch it now, I'm like, I get it now. It's just like, yep, if your power was to hear the dead and they're just
And see them.
constantly talking and seeing them, and you're seeing those fucked up images, and the way the dad locked him in that cemetery thing, to be like, can you master, are you afraid of the dead now? Are you like, I would be, yeah, you know what? Anything to shut those voices up, I get it, kind of deal. And his, once we really dove into his character, I really liked him, but not before. And it was just a hard.
I think.
pill
I
to
guess
swallow
I
at
was
first.
just like, I understand where this has to go if
Yep.
they're gonna do this. So,
Yep.
and I'm used to him being outlandish on Misfits as well. So,
See, I
like,
didn't see Misfits.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember how many seasons he's on, but I remember not watching Misfits after his character left.
Right.
And Netflix doesn't have the episode where he leaves. So I was just like, wait, what? Why is he just gone? And then I had to read up and be like, oh, there's another episode that Netflix just decided they don't want to have.
Right.
And it'll explain everything.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I like that. I like that actor from that. I've never really seen him in anything else. I I find he's too much in that movie Mute, where he's almost like the same character, but just can't hear dead people. It's like same outlandish like look and everything. But this performance and Misfits at least is
It worked for you.
it's honed in enough, and also it's the first time I think I've heard him use an American accent, which I thought he was pretty good at.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Not
He was really good at it.
Not perfect, but still pretty good considering I was like, I didn't think he would ever get even in the ballpark.
Right. I ended up really, really liking him and identifying with him. And I like, it's really interesting to me to see the mirror imaging between 4 and 3. So Allison and Klaus, in the sense where Klaus is, refraining from using his power. So is Allison. They're doing it in such different ways, and everyone else is like, no, I'm going to use it regularly. And these two, like, they really paired together. Their parallels from a storytelling standpoint was just super fascinating. And I loved it. And the whole like time travel element of like, oh, you fell in love in this war and all that, and that's another layer of why you're so messed up. And
Yeah, he's so sad that he won't see that guy again, and and he's trying to actively see him again, and he never sees him.
It's absolutely brutal. Like, so when they give him that like that scene in the vet bar. Where
he's shut up to the guy, and the guy's like, "You've got a lot of nerve coming in here."
Like, what war were you in? Like, this is a war vet thing, and it's like, I was in the war, and like, and then I'm like, what are you doing there? And then they show up the close up of like, oh, he's there, and then they develop that story. I'm like, oh my god, I love you, man.
I really liked Klaus. That was really good, and I liked. I cut you off earlier when you were, but I liked his. This isn't the line you were going to talk about, but when he was talking, when Ben is trying to get him to like not do drugs, and he's like,
yes,
why would I ever? Like, he's like, no one takes me seriously anyway. like, why wouldn't I just be numb to this? Like, I can't talk to the person I want to talk to.
Yep.
No one here takes me seriously.
That broke my
done
heart.
with this. Yeah.
That broke my heart. It's just honestly, that was. Yep, I get it. Like, I get where his character is coming from, and I connect a little bit too much with him. But yeah, fantastic.
But
Character.
I think you liked when he was talking to number 5 about his his addiction to the apocalypse.
I love that. He was like, yeah, I've got my addiction. Your addiction is the apocalypse. He calls him out on that, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And then, like, the moment he does in 5, he just does that reflection thing. It's like, you know what? Yeah, we did our good job. Let's celebrate with some margaritas and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of number 5, I guess he was my favorite character.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't end up being my favorite, but I'd like that, like, he's the only kid that gets to stay on I mean, looks like season 2 will be more of the kids, but like he, as his comic book name, The Boy implies, he stays stuck in that 13-year-old range. So like, I thought he played well with the other characters, and
I agree.
You could feel his like old man in there.
That's what I loved about it so much.
And that you never like what I really liked about him. It's not like I liked him less. It's just as they digged into the other characters, it was hard for me to be like, no, he's still my favorite. It was just like everyone else caught up to how well developed he was. But like,
yes,
what I liked was you never were like, oh no, this kid's in trouble. Like he had, or at least he thought he had a better lock on his powers, so he was able to use them quite effectively in every situation.
Yeah, for me, I loved 5 because not only because of the age dysmorphia, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Not that that's a real thing. There's just no better way of 58-year-old man in a 15-year-old body, is it? Or
well, it's 13.
13. And he plays it so well. He really does play it so well. You're just like, yep, that is an old man kind of thing. I love it. Hats off to that actor. But you're absolutely right. It's something I didn't consider before because we just finished watching it. But he's a very linear character. There's no real development there. All the other characters get to develop quite a bit. His character develops.
Playing catch up to him.
Everyone's playing catch up to him for sure.
He's already been through it. He knows what he's doing, which I like. I think that makes him a very effective kid, and I think it's a good role for a kid actor because usually that's my knock on kid actors, that they're trying to act like adults. They're not being natural, so that helps in this situation.
They came across very genuine, and I liked it. I liked that character a lot, and also because my favorite superhero power is teleportation.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it was just it's a byproduct of his time travel that he can just cut out certain things. But yeah, I really liked 5. He was great, and I did feel bad, even though I knew what was going to happen. I was like, oh shit, man, you're all alone. And I guess just like in I Am Legend, you will always fall in love with a mannequin if you're alone. That's your thing.
Or Wilson from Castaway.
Yeah, but that's like post-apocalyptic. I just watched Castaway, so I get it now. But I guess that was to him post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, hey, I would do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you put yourself in that situation, you would go.
Yeah,
isolation.
You need someone to talk to.
People crazy.
Yeah, you need someone to talk to. So,
like,
you'll figure it out.
Like, okay, here's how bad isolation is. It's so bad that even in maximum security prison, isolation is deemed punishment. Like, that's how bad it is.
It's so inhumane to
inhumane.
remove someone.
Yeah.
No matter how many people think like, oh, I would love to not be around people, you need some other output than just your thoughts.
Oh, 100%. So like me So me being an introvert, sometimes I get way too in my own head, and I'm like, no, now break out of this. Like,
you have the option to not have to deal with that.
Exactly, right? It's just
in addition to like
even
if you're breaking out of that as watching TV, you obviously don't have that option.
Yeah, not in jail. I mean, you get books, but
even
in solitary confinement. That is a no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't have any,
but
like,
maximum
it's just
security where you're in one cell just by yourself. You get
yeah.
a book, right? I watched a prison documentary and I was just like, whoa, that's
no, that's
nuts.
what I mean. I'm only ever talking about isolation. I'm not
Okay,
talking about
I see what you
just
mean. Yeah, you would be. That would.
I know they get TV time and you can read books and stuff. I'm talking about the isolation thing that you're talking about, the actual punishment.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting when you apply that to a Buddhist monk kind of thing. Like what? But I mean, that's a philosophical.
But aren't those
argument.
people like feeling like they are connecting to something else? Just
Yes.
not the physical. So even in that sense, it's not true isolation.
It's not.
They don't look at it that
No,
way.
exactly right.
But yeah, so 5. I
And it
guess I
takes-
don't really have anything else to say about them, just because obviously we aren't just going to talk about the characters. So
No.
just as moving forward, the Ben stuff, as I said,
Oh my God, Ben was
the horror.
Yeah,
I like that he was there with Klaus because
Mm-hmm.
just so that they could have, Klaus didn't have to be truly alone in this.
Yeah.
And as I said, I can't confirm this, but I heard that he's not really in the comics the way he is here. So I like that they added him.
yeah. When the first episode where I'm like, there's an Asian kid named Ben.
Yeah.
This is cool. I'm like, yeah, let's watch this. I'm like, you and I share something together. And then it was like, wait, he's dead? No, damn it. I don't
But
like this. And then they like to make him like with Klaus and everything like that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we got something here. This is cool. And to know that, like, and I was just like, my complaint would have been like, I want more Ben. But knowing that in the comic book, he's
Just not
literally
in it.
not there whatsoever, I'm like, oh, okay, I got exactly what I wanted compared to the source material.
And I like that his thing. He also didn't want to use his power.
I
He's
love
like, why would I want to do this?
in the
This
bank
is
robbery
horrible.
thing, that was just so.
They're like, no, there's more people in there. He's like, yeah, but we got them. They're like, no, you need to go, Ben. There's more people in there.
It's like, and then like the moment he's done, it's like, can we go home now?
Yeah, it's just covered in blood.
Yeah,
You're
I'm just like, fuck, man.
But at the end,
yeah.
when Klaus and him work together, or at least they haven't really gotten into what that is, but it's obviously a power Klaus has is to channel these dead spirits.
Well, it seems like everyone's power really, really just evolves. No, not everyone's,
Space
but
Boy's.
like Space Boy's power.
I
doesn't really
also
evolve.
don't know what the Kraken's power is.
I guess you can say that his power does evolve in the sense where he gets the monkey DNA to be even stronger than what he was. But
but
I mean,
I don't know
that's-
that he is even stronger.
But I mean, like that's just what they really lean into the entire time. Is like, oh, he just likes working out.
I would say this: I don't think 1 and 2 have very defined powers.
No, they don't. It's
Or at least
Diego's power is just
again,
like
7. I don't know what her power is, other than we can see what she's doing, and that's very powerful. But so I can't say she has a defined power. It's more like I understand what I'll get from her. Whereas with Diego, I have no idea. He's just good at throwing knives, and he can fight.
he can just curve knives and everything like that.
But
from wherever he
what
wants.
even is that power?
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I'm sorry, dude. It's on a surface level a visually cool power, but it's a shitty power.
Yeah, I mean, I
really
could
is a
just
shitty
read the
power,
comics
too.
and see if
Yeah.
he has a power.
Well, I'm totally reading the comics. Knowing though it's a limited series run. And all that kind of stuff,
there is an end.
Definitely doing that. For sure.
And again, 1 is just strong, so it's like
Yeah, it's like
okay.
you suck.
That's
you
you're like around people who can like
Yeah.
get what I think are actual Krakens out of their chest. And
Yeah.
you just can punch good.
Yeah, you just punch real hard. Like that's your thing. You suck.
But yeah, the horror I'm happy was there, and as I said, the that moment where he like projects him and he starts tearing apart those bad guys who I don't really know who they are.
Yep.
But I guess 5 knows them, so I guess they are part of that.
I think they must be the elite unit or something like that. Or
Yeah, like when people like Cha-Cha and Hazel don't work out, they bring in that unit or
as like
something.
last ditch effort.
I guess that's their like blunt instrument thing. Like the other people can kind of make it a little cleaner. But yeah, the horror, good. I'm glad that he was in it as much as he was, considering it doesn't seem like he's actually in it in the comics.
Right.
Again, people might be pulling their hair out, being like, "Of course he's in it." I don't know. I didn't read it. We will have to read it.
We will have to read it and get back to you.
But
here. And then 7, Ellen Page.
yeah, everyone was waiting for her to just
Stunner.
knock it out of the park, and she
I
did
just
it.
love Ellen Page.
I was so this was my whole thing, was like they're like, oh, we're looking for the bad guy. I'm like, okay, cool, who's gonna be the bad guy? And then I got this sinking sensation as the show was going on, where I'm like,
it's gonna be her.
it's gonna be her.
Yeah.
Like,
No, the
she's
entire time I'm like-
because they keep shitting on her.
Yeah.
And she just wants to be a part of this so bad.
Oh my god! By the second, third episode, I was like, "It's gonna be her." Like
you caught on
yeah.
way quicker than I did. I think for me it was like 6 or 7 where I was just like, oh boy.
The only thing that could have been a different kind of take on it would have been like Leonard Peabody was one of the people that didn't join the Umbrella
because that's what I thought. I thought
Yeah.
the show was going to deal with the other 40
yeah.
orphans.
Yeah,
or not orphans, but
yeah.
anyway.
No, to me, I'm just like, she's got a power, and it's going to be ridiculously overpowered. That's why she keeps taking the like. I put that together.
Yeah,
really,
the
really
medication
quickly.
was obvious. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, he's subduing her. Because why would anyone pick her up if she wasn't?
Yeah.
Like, you had 47 options. You wouldn't pick one that
But-
isn't powerful.
Also, the funny thing to me is just like, why would you keep her around then? Like,
You still might need her at some point. You just
No,
want her to shut
that's
up while she's a
true.
kid.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I guess that is it. Seven speaks to how messed up the dad is in the sense where he
Oh, yeah.
obviously does care about these kids. Otherwise, well, here's my.
I think he cares
reasoning.
about them to the extent I care about my computer. Look, I don't want it to fuck up, but also,
Well, here's my argument for this: is that if, and mind you, there's no reflection on this. To keep Seven around and like keep her doing all these kind of things, but keep her isolated is either not love, maybe not love, but maybe like I gotta keep a check on you. Like
yeah.
At least,
but I
like,
don't
the
think
most-
that's for her benefit. It's for his benefit. Because if someone else
Perhaps.
has her, then that's bad news for him.
perhaps.
Yeah, I don't think he likes the kids. I don't think he cares about them. I think they are property to him.
Oh,
and
they're definitely property-ish, but
That's-
it's a weird relationship. That I
No,
mean,
that's why that's why there's characters like Pogo and Grace, so they can do the caring.
right. And I did love Pogo.
I didn't.
I-
I'm gonna be honest with you.
didn't
Until
care,
he
right?
died, I was just like, what a waste of like a talking chimp. Why? What's the point of him being a talking chimp other than if he is the blood donor for Luther?
Right.
But even then, I don't need this. You could have just given all of his lines to Grace, and it would have just been more for her to do, and I would have liked that. I was like,
I just like
this
animal
not-
characters that
I
can
know,
carry
but, like,
human emotion, right?
But he didn't do
That's-
anything. He was so like,
He was just
oh
the
yeah,
secret keeper, and
he was
all
just
that
like,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
your dad lied to you about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
I guess it's
and
time for
here's
me-
the final secret. I can confirm.
Again, you could have given that all to Grace. Who
I-
had that seemed like a good use of a robot woman.
That
That
is,
I was like, yeah,
that's accurate. I guess that's accurate. Yeah, good.
He had a great death scene. Don't get me wrong,
Yep.
but it was just like
You know what bothered me about
I thought he
Pogo,
was going to
too?
be fun.
Uh,
No, I don't think. I'm not saying funny. I'm just saying like even the way Alfred is fun
yes,
around,
like
and,
snide remarks every now and then,
or just like have more impact on like what they're doing.
Yep.
He just seemed to show up so that he could get shit on for like keeping secrets.
You know what I thought was that Pogo was Reginald. I thought
no,
until
he
they
definitely
showed
was, yeah.
so until they showed Reginald together with Pogo and
Yeah,
the mom.
Oh, you
I was
thought
like,
that he?
I
oh,
thought
because you
he
still
moved
think
his
the dad
conscious-
likes them.
I don't anymore because
Yeah.
you squash that pretty fast. And I
That would
literally
make
thought,
sense if the dad cared about them. But I
Yeah.
think the whole point of Pogo is so they have a male figure that loves them and a female, and Grace is the female figure that loves them. And then he can, so they're like middle management, and then he can just dictate what goes on.
Good call. Yeah, no, that good call there. I just thought Pogo had a good death scene. He embraced it and all that kind of stuff. He knew he had to make that
Yeah,
sacrifice.
and he knew he was helping out Luther and
Yeah.
Allison, which I didn't see the first time.
Yeah, I legit thought that Reginald just once they're like, "Oh, he suicided himself." I'm like, "Well, then he was like, "Well, then he must have put himself in Pogo's body or something
Oh,
like that."
no,
like,
I
that's
just was-
literally what I thought.
I mean, obviously, there's more to explore with
Oh, yeah.
that character, but I just was like, at no point did I think because Pogo cares, and that's his one. Other than in the last episode, where you see that he cared about his wife.
Yep.
This guy doesn't really care about much.
True,
like
true.
I mean, whatever he cares about, it's not those people who are immediately around him. He's got another thing going on, so we'll
Right.
see what happens with that. We've not really talked about Ellen Page's character. We kind of skipped over it, but what I really loved about it was the inevitable clash that was going to happen. Like you just knew,
yeah.
like, because at first I was like, oh, maybe like it'll be cool when they finally work together, all 7 of them. And then I was like, no, that's not where we're going here. This is those 6 are going to have to take her down somehow. And I like that there was a couple moments where you thought, oh, like, this is where she'll turn and be like, yeah, that's right, I hate them. But, like, no, like, she kept being like, no, they're my family, I love them. And then she kills the guy for trying to even put doubt in her mind that, like, she can't trust her family.
Yep.
She goes there, and then I was like, oh, man, like, Luther's going to do something bad.
Yeah.
And it was when he said, of course you could stay, it's your home. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
You're going to try and kill. And then he didn't try and kill her, which I was happy about. But I was just like, oh, man, no, like, you can't pick one sister over the other. Like, but I'm glad that he was just like, I'm going to incapacitate you. Like, I'm not here to kill you, but, like, we need to figure out what's going on. And it was that scene where she's locked up, like, where I was just like, yeah, this is why you get Ellen Page. Like, she is so good at that desperate plea that she has in her face. Like, because you can't hear her for a lot of it. All you can see is her desperately trying to appeal to anybody in that room to let her out.
Like, that scene blew me away. She gets no audio.
Yeah.
And
she's killing it.
Kills it. Like, all you can watch is Ellen Page. The entire time you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. I love her. She's fantastic.
And I liked her final look when she turns into the white violin.
Oh my god, that was great. That
whole,
like, that I don't even know what to call it. The zombie-ish.
Yeah, well, it's
like
the
pale,
glazed over
eyes thing.
And she's definitely paler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
I even like
so
the way she
fascinating
killed Leonard. I guess that's
the
name he gives her. Because it was kind of like, that is what is killing both of them. All these, like, it's like the death by 1,000 cuts type thing of, like, all these moments where people knock you down, and that's what she's doing to him physically, is like cutting him out, like, little cuts at a time, and then she finally just stabs him or whatever. But, like, I was like, oh, this is a poetic death, and there was something about her performance that also seemed poetic, but now I don't remember it. I had such a cool thing to say, but now I don't remember it. But, like, it was just the element of when she's just looking at her sister, and they have that moment of, like, aren't you proud of me? And she's like, I am proud of you. And then that all goes to shit. But, like, just that standoff between the two of them, I thought.
You mean in the cabin kind of thing?
No. And when they're at the performance. And
the final performance.
And she's the first chair.
Oh,
and
I
then
like
she smiles
that.
at Allison, and Allison is, like, looking at her with pride. And I liked that moment.
Like,
even though
that
you know
too.
that's going to get
ruined
ruined by like, the guys. But just their relationship was very interesting.
It was such a
they
fascinating,
got a lot of
interesting,
good stuff out of it.
It was very, very fascinating. Because, like, and that's what I really love about this show. All the history of that drama of them being in the Umbrella Academy as kids and then growing up into adults and then having those feelings fester and all that kind of stuff and develop, you really get the background sense of all the back, like the actors did such a great job. The characters are so well written. It was awesome. It was like the idea that it's like, no, you're Dad's favorite. All this, like, they're still fighting that fight even though he's dead. It was super interesting to me. To see.
Two more characters that we can attack at the same time: Mary J. Blige and whoever the hell plays Hazel. Hazel and Cha-Cha.
Cameron Britton.
Really like that.
I loved
duo. And I didn't ever think, oh, they're gonna get together, but I was like, oh, they'll stay friends. And I was like, oh fuck, like, that can't even stick together. Like, I really, and I guess to round that up is also Kate Walsh's character. I don't remember her name, but she's got the, like, white hair, and she runs basically the group. Those three characters, again, as I said, and I meant it, I wanted them to win as well somehow. Like, even Mary J. Blige, who definitely can take a beating in this show.
Yep.
I was just like, there's got to be some element of her that, like, they're going to reveal. Because I just kept thinking, like, she seems pretty, like, reasonable.
Yep.
And then I was like, no, it was weird that it was Hazel that caught on to that all being a lie. Because Cha-Cha had the most to, like, question in that. I know this is really last episode heavy, but this is the last thing we saw.
Yep.
Was just like when she's like, well, what do I get? You just pitched Hazel on this great life that he's going to have if we complete your task. And then she's like, oh, I'll just get rid of your priors. And I was like, what? That's not good enough.
That's not a good
That's
trade-off.
nothing. That's nothing.
Like, he gets the same thing, and he gets to be with a person that he loves in any time and space that he wants to live.
That's kind of what I wanted out of Cha-Cha's character. Like, is there somebody or something she cares about beyond this job? And I guess that conversation is to prove no. It's like, you'll get a new partner, and since this one's crapped out on you, and maybe that is enough for her. But, like, whatever she
does
was
love
doing on
this
the
job. Yeah.
whatever she was doing on that phone made me feel like that was she was reaching out to somebody.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
There's something there.
But I like the idea that I wasn't ever, and maybe this just might be because of my love for Mary J. Blige, but like I never was like, oh fuck her, she's so evil, like she needs to die. I was just like, no, this like they'll do something where I don't have to feel this way about her. I liked her, and I liked her relationship with Hazel. I definitely liked Hazel's relationship with the donut lady.
Yeah, I love that. That was a lot of fun to me. To me, this was a very good exploration of like, do we go with dogma, traditional methods, or do we go with new school stuff? So the whole like Black Panther thing again, like do we do the Denai Garai
I guess
and Lupita Nyong'o's kind of like.
And Mary J. Blige was definitely the Denai Guerrero, like
Yes.
Okoye, like nope, this is the way it goes. Like I like that she even said no, like a verbal contract still is binding. Like look it up in the handbook. Like she knows all the rules, and but I guess what I liked was that episode where like they could have killed each other and they don't. I'm like, see, she's not completely blind. Like she knows that like no, there's still a benefit in not killing her partner. Like. That would be fucked if you like went against your partner.
To me, it's just like, do you feel like there was a hint at Cha-Cha loving Hazel and then no, like
I really thought that was just her. It's the same reason Okoye can at least bend to like work with Black Panther on opening up the borders. Or it was like, yes, like this is the job, this is what we need to be doing, but like I also can't just be completely not a human and like. Disrespect my partner or like go against that because even in that sense like that's her partner, they're together for a reason, so like if they're telling me to kill my partner, there's something I should question there. That creates a paradox for her.
Fair enough. I guess one of the characters that was this, anytime I see this actor's face, John Maggiaro, Leonard Peabody's actor, every time I see him, I'm like, oh, you're gonna do something slimy. It's one of those people like what not God.
Well, he's the villain from The Incredibles, like that. What's that? Cyclone Syndrome. Yeah, there's that idea of like, and I like that trope anyway. Like,
I love him.
Anyone who has that much adoration for you can just as easily get pushed into like hating you with a deep passion when you. I mean, the first time I saw that was Carlito's Way, where I think it's the Benny Blanco character, John Leguizamo character, where it's like he treats him so poorly, and that all he wanted to do was like be loved by Carlito, and then it's like, well, that's your downfall right there, is rejecting that person. That
and like I like he's a slimy character. I don't trust him.
that actor.
Like that actor.
Trying to look
whenever I see him.
at his other kid because I know the face.
His other acting credits. So it's John Maggiaro and everything like that. He's done, I don't know, a couple of. There's Orange is the New Black. He's done.
He's in The Big Short.
Yep.
He's in Carol.
Big Short too. Yeah, for sure. Captain.
He's in Overlord.
I don't know some of these things, but he does a lot of these kind of characters, and he plays them very, very well. I like him a lot, but every time you see him on camera, you're just like, you're gonna do something slimy. But I like the mirroring of like, hey, I'm still in love with the Umbrella Academy, the concept of it after I get it out of thing, and I have had enough time to think about this and developed to be like, Seven, let's get in touch with you and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I didn't read it as He Loves Them because of all the things they showed where he X'd out their eyes and he melted their heads.
No. Like,
so
not
what
love, but love the idea that he could manipulate her and all. Like, I love the idea that he was like, I can connect with you the most based on my experience and how you've been an outcast in your own family.
Yeah, because ultimately he wants to destroy them.
Yes,
so he doesn't
course.
love them. He's just
no.
He's just like, I'll get back at you, and this is how I'm.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my revenge and everything like that. And damn, the dad's dead, but I can still take down the family. And this is for not letting me love you, kind of deal. Like having that fester for like 13 years in jail and all that kind of stuff. Super interesting character and all that kind of stuff. But like. I just know, like, when you see him, you're like, you're not when they thought like, yeah, we did it, we got the guy with the eye. I'm like, you didn't do shit. It's all about Seven now. It's crazy. So when
I thought they did avert the thing, but just they've created another monster out of that. Another monster has been created out of Seven.
Right.
That maybe that wouldn't be the apocalypse, but at least their downfall or something like that. But no, I like that it was like, no, he's just the fuse, she's the bomb.
Yep.
I guess the Kate Walsh character is just called the Handler.
The Handler,
but
yes.
I really like how laissez-faire she is, and there's like there's an element of the Daryl Hannah character in Kill Bill, how like she's like she's doing these horrible things, but she's acting like it's not that bad. Like when she's talking to Michael Madsen's character, she's like, "No, now you should listen to this part because this concerns you. The black mamba snake can deliver this much venom, and you're gonna die in a very painful way." And like that was kind of the way she was at the end when she meets up with Hazel and Cha Cha again, and she's kind of like. Now, and she lists all the terrible things or like how they've screwed up everything, and she's like, so, I mean, and this is just my idea out here that I'm throwing out there. I think an explanation is owing.
Yeah, that was really, really fun to me. I really enjoyed her character a lot. The visual aesthetic of her character, for some reason, like, there's something about this series, the different costume designs and all that kind of stuff from the different periods and all that kind of stuff that intermix, and then the time travel element of it is just so well done. I love, like, I think, and this when you said like Quentin Tarantino really likes How I Met Your Mother because of the storytelling through time travel, and or
he likes How I Met Your Mother.
Didn't you say that? I heard someone say that. I
don't disagree.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't like it because of the ending, but I did
like
the
don't,
ride.
But like the idea of
like
telling the story through that, I don't know if it's Tarantino or something like that, but it was someone that said something.
It was
like
Christopher Nolan. He loves it.
Nolan. Okay,
no,
that's
I'm
what
kidding. I am kidding.
Well, I have no idea, so don't quote me on any of this. But the idea that they told a story through multiple perspectives, through multiple points in time, was great, and to see her perspective on everything was just like
she's
so
so
cool.
outside of time. She's like, like I could just take you and put you in this period, or I could take you. So yeah, I loved that character. I thought she was really cool.
I think that's an interesting concept too, from a time travel element standpoint. It's like, so if you can promise Hazel that and move her, Hazel and Agnes, to a different point in time to live out their life happily, wouldn't that have a ripple effect on the rest of the timeline or everything like that? I'm pretty sure that
sure it would, but it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah,
they don't have to.
They would
they
correct everything.
They don't have to worry about those consequences.
You can't have that cigarette or whatever, because that's going to do this, or like that. I guess would be it. But yeah.
So I guess as we come to a close here, is there anything other than the characters we should talk about? Like, I think we've kind of covered a lot of what we really appreciated about the show.
I mean, what else is there to cover? The storytelling was great.
We liked the music.
The music
selection was great.
Awesome. Like, there was one point where they were at the U of T labs, the medical facility, the medical building, and all that kind of stuff, where Cha Cha and Hazel were like, oh, this is where like they got the glass eye and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna burn this down. And the music that they had there to like burn down, and the party that they had, that was so much fun to me.
I also like before they got there when Klaus had to pretend to be his dad, and he starts like fucking himself up, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna tell people this is what you did to me. And then didn't he punch number 5 or something like that?
Yeah, he's like, all right. He punched 5, and then he put the snow globe through his head and all that kind of stuff.
It was great.
Yeah, that was really, really like that. The music in this was so well done. I loved it.
Yeah, the fighting to Sunshine Lollipops.
That was great.
That was good. I liked the Barracuda needle drop when she finally again, we're really on the last couple of episodes, but that's what I'm remembering.
Yeah, that's what's fresh in our mind.
But again, the music. I love that scene where it shows them dancing in all their different rooms. That's like in the first episode or the second episode.
Okay,
I don't remember what song it was. I just remember thinking like, yeah, that's nice. I like that.
I like the dance scene that
Allison
and Luther. There's just like, Allison, yes, may I have this dance? And then they go into that.
It's like they were having sex. That's how they. That was it.
Sure. No, it just that whole day. It was like that was so much fun to watch. I'm like, yeah, this is cool, and I just started doing.
And then I liked when he danced at the rave. I was like, this guy gets a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, he is Dickon
I know.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
was like, good for you,
Dick
man.
on.
Yeah.
Love him. Dick on. Yeah, no, this highly recommend this series. I can't wait to see what season 2 brings.
Well, hopefully they get a season 2. It's not Marvel, so it won't get cut. But also,
ooh, shots.
no
fired.
shots. That's what I was saying. I think they got rid of the Marvel stuff because they have these properties and they have the Mark Miller stuff, so they don't need the Marvel stuff. They don't need that headache anymore.
I agree.
It's just a matter of how many
ways,
people are watching it and how many people.
Yeah.
It's how many people are watching because I see people are talking about it, but
Oh my god!
I
This is
know
all
they're
I'm seeing right
all
now.
they care about is how many people watched.
This is great because I mean I was at work watching this yesterday because I thought I had a couple clients and there was misschedulings and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch 2 episodes right now. And that's when you and I were texting. I was like, yeah, you know what? I can get this done. I can watch the whole thing and record tomorrow. I was watching it, and even like a bunch of people that it really surprised me. They're like, "Oh, I'm on this episode." I'm like, "You watched this?"
Yeah, my cousin who's in California right now, who usually, I mean, she's got 2 twin kids who I don't remember their ages, but it's like, I'm like, where are you? Like, so you're finding the time to watch the show that you clearly aren't letting your kids watch, and like, I know what it's like when you've got young kids. That takes a lot of time out of your day. So I was just like, yeah, like people are responding to the show and wanting to watch it. So I thought that was cool. That I'm hoping that it gets a second season because I would like to watch more stuff with those kids.
Yeah,
I know it will still be the idea that they've lived to 30 and they're back in their 13-year-old bodies, but I want to see how those kids work as well.
Yeah, and I want to see what point in time they actually go back to.
Yeah,
Whether or not like if they go back to like when they were in the academy with the knowledge that they have now, whether or not there's a duplicate person or something like that, and whether or not they're like, hey dad, you screwed us up, this is what happens.
Well, I think the idea will be like if they go back to the academy time is to include number 7.
Yes,
don't let the dad keep her out of it,
isolate and all that kind of stuff. Let her fully develop her powers, get her a therapist, all this kind of stuff, deal with your emotions, own up to that shit.
They all need therapists.
Yeah, they all need
Although does Allison say she has one? I don't remember now.
Well, the funny thing is, Allison didn't say she had one. I think Vanya did. But because she had a therapist that was dealing with an issue that she didn't know. That was dealing with a different kind of thing.
Different.
Yeah.
So let's rate this.
Oh, God, yeah. This was a 9.5 to me.
I gave it a 9. I don't realize how I got lower than you. I thought I was going to be way higher than you.
No. This was so... the fact that I connected with so many of the characters, except for Luther. Really, I just didn't connect with Luther that much. But that's just
I connected with him through his relationship with Allison. Like that moment in the phone booth was very nice.
That broke my heart.
I thought that was really well done. So
yes,
on his own he doesn't work, but
Yeah.
I think that's also part of the show is that none of these people should work on their own. They should be together.
Huge element of that. Yep. Huge element. More Ben because.
Yeah, well, now
gonna
he'll have a
get Ben
chance
back.
because
He's
if
alive
they're going
now.
to when he's supposed to be alive, then go for it.
Good times. Good times had by all. We'll have to see how the handler and the collector, the agency, and all that kind of stuff.
I love when he sent the things to Hazel and Cha-Cha, and the handler tried to stop him, and he blew her up.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming she'll just never die.
That's my assumption.
All you can do is stop her in that moment.
Yeah, that's my assumption.
Yeah.
It's just like maybe she's like a cell from Dragon Ball Z. If she gets one cell, that she can reproduce from that or whatever. But, yeah.
I like her, so I hope she's back.
I hope so, too.
And thank you very much for listening to this.
Yes, next episode is Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so keep it locked. We're on thatshelf.com, as Ben mentioned. There's amazing shows like No Budget Nightmares, because I like their theme song. And I think they just got a new podcast, which I should look up right now. But the ones I do know are Black Hole Films. And yep, that is a thing. Bad Gay Movies just joined the That Shelf
Welcome
network. So that's great. We're here, and then we're on tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten, where you'll find Ben and I's I don't know grammar. But Ben's social media coordinates, my social media coordinates, our email if you want to email us. You can comment in the comments section and definitely subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, a bunch of places where people like to do that and leave comments there and rate there.
Yeah, please like, comment, and rate us because it really does help us and our visibility out there. But of course, to only do that if you feel compelled to do that, whether you agree or not. And let us know what you think. It's always good to connect.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.